uh, the attainment of the Millennium Development Goals in Africa. Of course, the African countries are lagging behind the rest of the world. The simple reason is that Africans do not have the resources. In terms of resources, it's not only financial resources, it's also human capital and strong administrative structures that help them implement the policy measures that they decide to adopt. You have to know that in each African countries, they have developed already a national strategy for reduction of poverty. And some of those strategies are in the second generation. And those strategies try to tackle all the seven Millennium Development Goals plus the partnership, which is the eighth one. So we need to mobilize resources to support Africans, to strengthen the capacity of African countries to deal with the implementation of their own national policies of poverty reduction. Looking forward to the summit that is going to take place on from the 20th to the 22nd September of this year, 2010. What I think should be the outcome of the summit on the Millennium Development Goals would be to bring all parties, stakeholders, stakeholders being mainly concerned countries or recipient countries, which are African countries and least developed countries, and some small island developing states, but also their development partners, be it the states, private sector, civil society, and foundation, for each of the parties to keep their own commitment. The African and LDCs have committed to strengthen their abilities to choose good policies and to implement good governance in terms of economic, political, and business governance. The other ones are supposed to provide African and the least developed countries with financial resources, but also technical assistance to build up their own capacity in order to tackle the Millennium Development Goals. For me, the outcome of the Millennium Development Goals Summit of September 2010 should be to deliver on the promises taken by both parties. I think during the course of the discussion, one main thing that will come would be the exchange of best practices among countries on how they have dealt with specific targets of the Millennium Development Goals. If you take the case of China, for example, China have made a stride in many of the targets of the Millennium Development Goals, in particular fighting poverty and reduction of poverty. The number of poor in China have reduced from 85 million to 26 million, thanks to good policies adopted by the government of China. And the Chinese Institute for Reduction of Poverty have set up a certain numbers of principles and rules which, implemented elsewhere, would help strengthen the ability of other countries to learn from China and to implement that. So I encourage that China shares its experience in that area and in other areas with African countries and the least developed countries.